Yes, what's happening guys? Welcome back to Football Therapy with me, your host Jan. How you all doing? Good, great to hear it. Okay, today I'm going to be talking about two things, and yes, they are Chelsea related. I'm going to be talking about Big Pete, Petr Čech, returning home to Chelsea Football Club, and Frank Lampard's announcement. Starting on Czech, so he has been announced by Chelsea. We all knew he was returning as a sort of technical sporting director, but they have announced him as technical and performance advisor, which kind of sounds like a weird role. See, this is the reason why I think they've done that. I think it's his first year in a sort of professional football boardroom, higher up kind of role, and if you throw him straight in with the role technical director or sporting director, it might seem a little bit, I don't want to say far-fetched, but a little bit early. So my thinking is, I personally think Czech is an incredibly good and maybe even the best candidate for this role. Now hear me out. So for a while, a lot of people, Chelsea fans, were calling for Michael Ballack to be this sort of technical director who is a great ambassador for the club and represents Chelsea in its best time and all that. But when it comes to Petr Čech, he's like a scholar of the game, but he's an incredibly intelligent man generally. Like anyone who's worked with Czech or spoken to him or worked near him will all sort of testify to him being incredibly intelligent and knowledgeable about anything, or certainly a lot of stuff. Like he's well versed in really random things in life that you can talk to him about. Basically just a really smart dude, right? And that makes him incredibly, I'd say that makes him a good candidate for this job, because I feel like it will be a taxing job in many ways. But the first thing that he can check off is he's a club legend and he'll demand respect within the club regardless. He's not some 60-year-old, really qualified technical director from Europe somewhere who's had great success, but Chelsea's a very difficult place to succeed long term, as we all know, unless perhaps you're one of our own. Czech very much is a Chelsea man, so he'll demand respect, and he's got a good relationship with Roman Abramovich, Marina Granovskaya, who we did all the press stuff with this morning, or yesterday, excuse me, and it was announced this morning. He's got a relationship throughout the club, with everyone throughout the club, and he commands respect with everyone throughout the club. And what I was alluding to really is, I feel like with this advisor role, it sort of gives him a bit of room to sort of find his feet and learn his duties, or the club sort of find out what duties suit him better. And don't be surprised if 2 years down the line, if you go on the Chelsea website and look on Petr Čech, that it might suddenly say sporting director. Perhaps they wouldn't announce the change of name, but I wouldn't be surprised to see that eventually. So it's really great news to see him arrive. Something that Chelsea's been lacking. For me, Frank Lampard's imminent announcement, and we'll talk about that in a second, and Petr Čech being announced this morning, is a really good PR move from the club with just a general good move, because it's sort of filling that void that Emenalo left, and that sort of buffer between the top and the bottom, although perhaps Frank wouldn't need a buffer between the top and the bottom. But it's creating a feel-good factor that came out of the best, most optimum time, considering we've just lost Eden Hazard, who is a catastrophic loss for the club, even though it was on amicable terms and there was like respectful and graceful exits and goodbyes and whatever. This, in a difficult time of a transfer ban, this is brings back a feel-good factor. The media will like it. Frank Lampard and Petr Čech and maybe a couple of others teaming up at Chelsea, the old guard coming back and playing the youth and, proper Chelsea and all that. But it makes the fan base feel a bit safer and calmer knowing that stuff's being done, being implemented. You look at people like Manchester United, clubs rather like Manchester United, they're gagging for a director of football, So it's good. Although he's not really experienced, whoever's coaching, hopefully for a while, Frank, or whoever's in the club who's come into the club can report to Czech. A really important thing to talk about Petr Čech is he's just finished playing. He's only just retired. He played his last game, weeks ago, not that long ago. So that's another sort of feather to his bow over perhaps string to his bow, I believe the term is, over like, you know, some geezer from Europe who's in his 60s and has done the job for a long time. He's just been fully immersed within the game. He's played on the same pitch recently of the youngsters or the good players that are emerging. He's seeing what's happening around him and he can apply that to his advisor role, which I think is like a huge benefit personally. And like I said before, he's the kind of character that seems so just intelligent really, that I feel like he'll develop in the role really, really well. And yeah, I think it's a great candidate and I'm really looking forward to seeing how he does and works with Frank Lampard. So yeah, it does look like the deal for Frank is complete, and by all accounts from what's being said, excuse me, he will sign the contract when he gets back from his holiday with his wife. So that kind of means they must have something sorted out with Derby, because I think Chelsea wanted Frank, Frank wanted Chelsea, Morris wanted to come with him. You know, it seemed like everyone wanted it, but Derby, they wanted the compensation of 4 million. I don't think that was an issue, considering Chelsea made money out of the release of Maurizio Sarri. They had no problem with that. I think it was a case of Frank wanted to obviously bring Jody Morris with him, but maybe they probably wanted to bring a couple of backroom staff to Chelsea, because remember, Chelsea released all of Sarri's backroom staff, so it's a whole do-over in that sense. So that's interesting. Derby would have to find someone else. I think they're reluctant, but they probably knew it was inevitable, Frank going to Chelsea. But by all accounts, from what's coming out of the rumour mill, that's, you know, well, when there's this much smoke, he will come back and he will sign. So that's interesting, and then the band's coming back together. Like I said, the media will lap that up, and there are rumours of roles for both Didier Drogba and Claude Makelele. There seem to be a bit more of Drogba, but again, whether they do or they don't, whether it's just, you know, nonsense or a bit of truth, all this kind of stuff leads back to the feel-good factor at Chelsea. And although I've voiced my concerns over and over about Frank's premature appointment at Chelsea, I'm a Chelsea fan, like other Chelsea fans. I want nothing more than Frank Lampard to be a successful Chelsea manager. And I always voiced the concern that there's no club structure to support him. And by all accounts, it looks like they're sorting that out. So they've got someone, a role in Petr Čech, who will support Frank. You know, he was the goalkeeping hero in the final, the Champions League final, while Frank wore the armband. So they're titans of Chelsea Football Club, two of the greatest players. Frank arguably being Chelsea's greatest ever player, now managing Chelsea Football Club. I mean, you do feel like, I mean, it's so uncertain the path ahead. People need to be prepared for maybe even outside a top 6 finish. It could be highly likely considering the loss of the offensive output of Eden Hazard. But Frank will have to utilise the loan army and the academy, and he can look at this with Jody Morris and Petr Čech, and they can talk about how they want to develop this team style and implement the academy structure properly. Finally, making use of the best academy in England, arguably one of the best in Europe. You know, that's up for dispute. But if you're interested in how Frank could utilise loanees or the youth, go back and watch my video that I did on Frank Lampard's Chelsea loan recalls. It's a couple of videos back. I spent a lot of time on it. It's one of those high production videos rather than a sort of vlog video like this. Go and check it out, give it a like. And you know what? Thank you if you've watched this far in the video. Why don't you like this video and comment down below? I'm always interested in reading your comments and getting involved with the conversation with you lot. And yeah, subscribe if you're new, obviously. So the band is getting back together. Frank's about to sign. Petr has signed, and who knows, a couple more may follow. And we'll probably start to see some loanees being recalled and propping up all around the Chelsea team. And you know what? Don't be surprised if both Callum Hudson-Odoi and Ruben Loftus-Cheek both sign new contracts, maybe even before the season started. So a lot of good news, guys. But anyway, that's it from me. I hope you enjoyed this video. Again, if you have and you like my content, please give it a like and comment down below and sub to the channel and all that. Anyway, guys, enjoy the football, and I'll see you later.
You ain't so tough with that bad boy tuck. I'ma get it how I'm living, I'ma walk the walk. Outline my lines, I rap through thought. Body bag the verse, outlined in chalk. In my life seen trouble, hustle on the double, silence on the trigger like my pick got a muzzle. Yo, chick like to guzzle, bad boy stay in trouble. I only love this paper, sorry I don't. I laugh me, bitch.